Hey everybody, it's your girl T, and I'm here today with Jay Iorio. He is the Director of Innovation at the IEEE Standards Association.
I'm unofficially their futurist.
We're talking about AI in movies. Let's start off talking about Her. In Her, a human falls in love with artificial intelligence. Has that ever happened?
When we're talking about strong AI, I think it would be hard for us not to develop an emotional relationship with something like the character in Her.
When does AI become classified as strong versus weak?
When it really becomes indistinguishable and is able to behave indistinguishably like a human.
So would Siri, for example, would she be considered strong or weak AI?
Weak AI.
Yeah, because she's clearly not that with it. There's even talk about Samantha dreaming. Is that possible for AI?
There are things about human consciousness that we've never been forced to make explicit and codify before. And with AI, you have to do that. If you don't have that kind of relationship between the waking and the dream world, what happens when it tries to do creative work, which may very well be drawn from that dreamlike world? That gets into some of these, the really central questions of AI. You know, if you want this thing to become what we're talking about, is mimicking aliveness sufficient? And where you start to get into the problems are with dreams, with emotions, with the very squishy, undefinable stuff that is central to us as human beings.
Not only does she claim to dream, she can also write music instantly. Is that something AI could realistically do?
You know, I know there's some people, I believe in the UK, who are doing some work with classical music. I've listened to some of the clips that have been created by the AIs, and it sounds perfectly plausible. I mean, it passed the Turing test for me. I wouldn't say, oh, that sounds like a machine.
You are insane.
Really?
Definitely.
Fantastic.
Let's move on to Blade Runner. That was the movie that taught us what it was like to be human in a world with human-like intelligence.
You're in a desert walking along the sand when all of a sudden you look down. What?
We see that the replicants will sometimes misdirect the examiner to kind of basically fake being human. Is that a realistic thing for AIs to actually do? Could they actually trick us and mislead us?
I don't see why not. That's a part of being a human, an artificial human or a real one. It makes sense that deception is part of intelligence, but I think it's inevitable at some point.
Check, please. Ex Machina. Ava talks about how her brain knew language instantly.
When did you learn how to speak, Ava?
I always knew how to speak.
How good is today's AI at imitating language in a way that's actually believable and natural?
Language is a very difficult thing, and it's not altogether clear how humans do it. You know, it's almost like the flying car of futurism. It's the thing that seems obvious, but it never happens. It's getting there, but nothing I've seen is at the level that we're talking about.
And if we made a list of books or works of art which we both know, it would form the ideal basis of a discussion.
The AIs have a gel-based brain. It's sort of blurring the line between biology and technology. How does that relate to how AIs are actually programmed?
A lot of what we consider AI is being done with neural networks. Neural networks more closely represent an animal brain. I don't know who's working on gel at this point. I don't know the gel story. I have no problem with the idea that 50 years from now, that's an arbitrary number, there could be a biological aspect to a computer. It would kill a lot of birds with one stone, so to speak. It has a sense of self. It knows to avoid threat. It has an identity. Each of us is a narrative in a sense. We all have a story. It has a beginning and an end. It has struggles between here and there. Maybe that depends on a finite lifetime. Maybe sex drive works its way out in all kinds of different behaviors that we're not really consciously aware of or we're squeamish to talk about. But without that, what's at stake? It's imitating something, consequences, but it doesn't feel them personally. So, you know.
So you're saying strong AI should also be horny?
I'm starting to think that might be a crucial piece of it.
Wow. My main takeaway is that we need a horny jazz cybernetic organism robot.
Well, there you go. You know, that's
what I've learned today. Terminator 2 pretty much made me who I am today by bringing my fear of AI to the height that it is, with Arnold Schwarzenegger playing, the Terminator. Let's get into AIs shifting within their parameters and sort of making judgment calls on Judgment Day on how they're going to live within those parameters and kind of bend the rules and maybe not break them.
What the hell are you doing?
You son of a bitch! He'll live.
Is that something that could actually happen?
We see kids doing that all the time. You know, you told me not to do that. It's like, I didn't want you to do that. You know what I mean? You're playing the technicalities. You might have to grow the AI. It might not come out of the lab fully formed. It might need to be raised. Otherwise, how do you know what's important? How do you develop a relationship with your mother that is going to have the emotional depth that is going to inform other relationships that you have? But when it really comes to those heavy moral decisions, which was hinted at in Terminator 2, he did it in a way that would be considered witty by humans. So when you see Arnold Schwarzenegger giving that sort of eye, he knows he's being ironic. He knows he's gaming the rules. Probably nothing short of the arts is more mysterious than what is funny. In a way, that's the next generation's Turing test.
AI stand-up comedians?
AI stand-up comedians.
What's the deal with this algorithm? Let's talk about Westworld. I feel like that's the HBO show. I'm sure you guys have all seen it, but it's more about questioning how different we as humans are from AI.
Her finger. That's not standard.
I noticed it last night. It's the tiny things that make them seem real. That make the guests fall in love with them.
One of the ways the hosts are able to blend in are by developing reveries, which basically adds more kind of like subtlety updates to their behaviors.
You know, we'll always be impressed with what AIs can do on the curve up the uncanny valley. But as soon as we get to the point where we're talking about with Westworld, for example, it drops way down because it's like, you know, the eye movements are not exactly right. I've seen this with avatars in virtual environments where you're amazed at how good it is until you're amazed at how bad it is. And then it comes down to subtle, very hard to program human things of gesture, blushing, all the million things that we do with our bodies that are sort of a subtext to what we're saying. That is essential for them to achieve the level of facsimile. We're trying to create something that's us without the flaws, and I'm not sure that we're us without the flaws.
Deep. Real deep.
Do you know what that means? It means that we're done.
That's going to do it for us today. Special thanks to our guest, Jay Iorio, who basically validated all of my fears. Make sure you follow him on Twitter and make sure you follow us and subscribe, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.